What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode in the Unleashed Potential Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Haji, as always, alongside Mr. Elmi and Mr. Hassan. How you guys doing?
Alhamdulillah.
We're a man light this week. Jabbar's not here today. He couldn't make it.
Yep.
But inshallah, we'll do justice in covering, inshallah, his part.
Yep.
You guys been well, I take it? Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, everything's good, yeah.
Pretty good week so far?
Yeah, not too bad.
Alhamdulillah.
Yourself?
Allah, not too bad, man. It's been work 6 days straight, but alhamdulillah, I got a couple of days off now, so I'm looking forward to that. Relax, rejuvenate, and then get back to it.
Yeah.
But apart from that, Allah, alhamdulillah, everything's good. Let's get into today's topic, man. Today's topic is, I think, one that we can all relate to in whichever way suits us. But I think it's a topic that touches all of us, intentionally, unintentionally, whether you think about it, whether you don't think about it. It's representing Islam in the best possible manner, whether at home, at work, especially in public and outdoors, because I think it's the one thing that can be pinpointed without you telling anybody. Like, nobody knows really who you are until you tell them, but they can always judge your actions based on who they think you are based on your actions, and what you're wearing. So if you're wearing a khamis or a jubba, and a hijab, and you're entering the mosque or leaving the mosque, they might not know you or know why you do what you do, but they prejudge your entire faith in who you might be based on the way they see you or how they perceive you. So I think that's a really important topic for us to discuss today, based on representing Islam in the best possible manner at work and outside your house. So I want to ask you guys, open up with a question to you guys. Is it something that's always in the back of your mind that you guys think about when you're dealing with other people, that, hey, I'm not just representing me, but I've got this responsibility of representing Islam in the best possible way?
Every day.
Every day?
Obviously, first things first, we're Muslims.
Yeah.
So the way we conduct ourselves, whether it's in our house or outside in public, should be at least in the most respectful and harmless way.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're human beings. Everything's not perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll give you like a scenario, like on Fridays, sometimes I wear the khamis,
Yeah.
I'll go into the local shops. When I'm wearing my normal attire, people don't look at me.
Yeah.
I'm a regular person, but when I'm wearing my
When
I'm wearing my khamis, they'll look at me like this. Especially the old ladies, I like to smile at them. They smile back at you, man.
Yeah.
Hello, how you doing? They're like they get some of them get shocked, but majority of them smile back and just say,
because you've built that level of comfortability.
Yeah,
the minute
yeah.
you smart them, as opposed to if you were to give them to ground, then that would only prove what they might have been thinking.
Exactly. Even when you go to the counter, they're like, "Is that all, sir?" They talk to you a bit slow. But yes, thank you. Oh, card or cash?
Yeah,
That's what I'm paying card.
They
They look at me like, "Hey, this guy can speak English." I said, "Yeah, I can speak English." And all of us don't like that. We're jubbas that don't speak English. But it's just the way in the public eye, the way the Muslims and Islam is viewed. We're viewed as people as like immigrants, terrorists that don't know much, that are not educated. You know what I mean? So with the way we uphold our actions is a reflection of Islam. So it's very important the way you conduct yourself in the public. Yeah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Man, is it in the back of my mind? I would say deep in the back of my mind, it's probably there.
Yeah.
Does it stop me from doing certain things? No, like I wouldn't second guess myself to the point where I'm thinking every action that I take, is this going to represent Islam in a positive way or not? Because I don't know, I just don't think that any natural human being would do that, to that level. Otherwise, it'll be crippling, like you'll doubt yourself too much. But it is still sort of deep in the back of my mind, in the sense that any big decision that I sort of do, or how I treat a certain person, especially if it's a non-Muslim that doesn't know that that does know that I'm Muslim, that might have a negative impact towards Muslims, because that person could potentially be the only, I could potentially be the only Muslim that he's ever met.
Yeah.
Right? And I could either add fuel to his preconceived understanding of what Islam is based on the media and how negative it is, or I could show him a different side, and then that could take him out of the fold of thinking all Muslims are bad to only some of them. Yeah. And that's a step forward.
A big step.
It's a step forward, you know. Oh, not all Muslims are bad.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's just understanding that it's not, you know, it's not Islam or it's not Muslims. It's just sometimes it's human beings. Yeah. And I know Islamically, we are the best of nations, right? We're to be set forth. Yeah. Why? Because we tell others to, we enjoin the good. We tell others to do good, and we forbid the bad, right? And the way we do that is through our actions. You know, so there's that level, like we've set the bar, and it's good that some Muslims pretty much like they recognize that Muslims should be up here, you know, by the way they perceive us. Like, even if we do something that non-Muslims do, they would still consider it as something huge, the fact that it was a Muslim that did it. Yeah. So it's good that they raise the bar to that level, but at the end of the day, there should be an understanding that we're human too. We do make mistakes. But yeah, as to answer your question, whether it's actually in the back of my mind, I wouldn't say it cripples my decision. Yeah,
but it's somewhere.
But it's somewhere there.
Yeah. And as it should be, because Islam is really a way of life, right? It teaches us how to act with interact with society, with our neighbors. You know, one of the hadiths that I remember you mentioning was from Prophet is love your neighbors. Now that in itself is a huge, like, it just says love your neighbors, but then there's just so much that comes with that. Like, you move to a new place, and your neighbors, they don't know who you are. They only see the color of your skin.
Yep.
And even if you are a white person, when they find out that you're Muslim, again, there's like that whoa until you break that ice, unless they've had Muslim neighbors before. And even then, just because they had Muslim neighbors doesn't mean that they were the best Muslim neighbors. You know what I mean? I remember when me and my wife moved to our home here, our neighbor is our landlord, right? Yeah. And then on the other side, we've got a Muslim neighbor. And when we first moved in, I met them, and we were flying out at the time. But when we came back, what I did was I invited the both of them to our house, the Muslim brother and the non-Muslim neighbor, landlord. And now our relationship is, we're pretty much friends. If there's anything wrong with the house or whatnot, like, I can text them. There isn't that formality between us now. Like, there is if something happens, but even then it's like two guys having a chat about it. You know what I mean? Whereas on the other side, we've got a neighbor that I don't know. I couldn't get along with.
Why is he shaking?
Let me tell you the story, bro. This is ridiculous. All right, I'll make it short and sweet. We're at the backyard. We're playing cards, right? You get a bit loud. Obviously, cards it's a dramatic game. Obviously, we woke him up from their sleep. The guy came over, put his head over the fence, and he went off at us. It was pretty disrespectful the way he was talking to us.
But even then, give him the benefit of the doubt.
We gave him the benefit of the doubt. I stood up, tried to stay calm, as his Haji's neighbor, tried to resolve the issue. He went away. He came back again with his wife, and they're both going off at us. So at this time, I passed the ball on to Haji, because obviously I'm not going to take someone that's going to disrespect me in that form.
Yeah.
It's either I'm going to stay quiet or things can get out of hand very quickly.
Hold up. So he complained, and then you apologized?
First thing I apologized. I said, look, sorry for the noise and the altercation.
He didn't accept the apology?
At first, sorry, let me clarify.
Yeah.
At first, he came over, he put his head over the fence and just going off.
Yeah.
And I remember till this day, the three of us just looking at each other and just looking up at him and just thinking, what's his problem? Like, he's just gibberish, he's just going off. And I was like, slow down, what is it? Right, so then he's made his complaint. We tried to be reasonable and logical without apologizing at that moment.
Yeah.
And then we just seen that, okay, this guy's just taking up too much of our time. So we said, okay, whatever it is that you're complaining about, we do apologize for. It won't happen again. And I told him, I've been your neighbor for a year. It's never happened before. All right, so like you don't need to make a big drama out of this, da da da. And temperatures are rising slowly, right?
Yeah.
And he went away.
Okay.
But we can hear his wife in the background yelling at him.
Egging him on.
How can you let him go like that?
Pretty much, bro.
She put up her head over the fence, and the first thing she said is, tomorrow morning, you guys need to come around and apologize to my husband. Elmi stood up. Me and Jabba looked at each other. We were like, yo, it's about to go down. But alhamdulillah, he kept his calm.
Right.
But me and Jabba knowing this guy's burning on the inside. So she goes on rambling. And then Elmi at the point, this was his last straw. Like, she said to me, I know in your I was wearing the thobe. I was just sitting in the backyard wearing the thobe.
Yeah.
It was actually after a night we recorded our podcast. So you left a bit early.
Okay.
So I'm still wearing my thobe. And I said, I know in your religion you're allowed to disrespect women and yada yada yada. But this is Australia and you can't. Because I was just letting her talk. I was just quiet. Like let her. She's just talking at me, not to me, right? So I just stayed quiet. And then she's going, you know, you guys disrespect your. It's okay for you to disrespect your women, but this is Australia. You're gonna listen to me. And I'm just looking at it, and this is when he looked at me and he said, Haji, you take it from here. He lost it, and the husband's right there. So the husband comes up, and then all I say to the husband is, yo, can I speak to you for a second? And then he's like, oh, you're being chauvinistic. Why aren't you speaking to her? I said, well, look at her, mate. She's talking at me. How am I supposed to get a word in? and then even then, I'm boiling on the inside. But wallah, I said, look.
Should have seen his face. Oh, you should have seen his face.
I
was at the point. Alhamdulillah, things didn't. I was at the point. I was like, you know what? This is not my house. This is Haji's house. If Haji's gonna go off,
I'm following.
Then I'll follow. Because for me to disrespect his neighbors is way out of line, you know. So I said, this is not my house. This is Haji's neighbors, you know.
Let him take the lead.
Let him take the lead. If I instigate things, I'm gonna put him, you know, his wife, a lot of things at danger. You know what I mean? And I don't live here, so obviously, and you can see by the way the amount of disrespect. He literally shat on us twice. First time he left and he came back. We apologized and he came back. He still wants more. It was clear to me that this guy wanted to start a big fight between us, but we were smarter than him. You know what I mean?
Some of the remarks, was just like, well, because we were sitting down, right, and the three of us knowing each other, like we're that kind of people. Like if I'm in, like me myself, I'll speak for myself. Like if I'm sitting down and I'm having a heated argument with you, like I'll try to keep myself seated. Yeah. You know, if I stand up, things rise. Yeah. You know, temperature rises, and then it's crazy. So like, but this person doesn't know me, right? So all of us are just sitting down and just trying to talk back and be like, you know, relax. You know, like relax. Because one, if you stand up, it's like a sign of aggression. Like, okay, I'm ready now. You know? So we sit and it's like, well, for one, if you're being sincere, how about you stand up and apologize?
Yeah, she did say that.
And
this woman was pushing the buttons, man. Unbelievable, brother. Unbelievable.
All three of us will just look at each other. What? I know what he's thinking. He knows what I'm thinking. And it's like we're sort of communicating. I'm telling him in my mind, yo, calm down. Don't get up. You know, and wallah, like it just went on. It just went on.
Because, sorry to cut you off, the fact that we kept trying to apologize, saying sorry, look, we won't do this again, repeated that numerous amount of times. They saw that as a weakness, bro. No, they saw that as a weakness. Honestly. So this guy thinks he can outspeak and outstand over us, but we didn't see it as a weakness. We said, no, you got to be smart in this situation. You can't be dumb. They're going to think, oh, there's three black guys. They're going to go off straight and, oh, we're going to call the police and so on and so forth. But we're a lot smarter than them. But luckily, it was Haji's house. Because if it was somewhere in public,
there would have been
additional
people.
There's no cameras or anything like that. Things would have went absolutely sideways. But obviously, I'm saying that because it's the heat of the moment. But I doubt I would have did anything because obviously I've got a lot to lose than this individual to break me. You know what I mean? So you got to be smarter than that, man. Yeah.
But yeah, Elmi, like to sum it all up, like in that situation there. Like, there's so many factors that play in hand. You know, we're three young Muslim black men. You know, at night, if we were to react the way we would have done a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, Elmi, Haji, and Jabbar would have acted completely different. You know what I mean? And not to say that we advocate for violence or whatnot, but when you're younger days, anger and everything takes over. But then there were so many contributing factors. We're Muslims, so automatically, what's going to go on the news? 3 young black Muslim guys harassed a young lovely couple in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The damage that we cause, like if we were to get locked up, my wife, your parents, our families, all these things. So I think in the back of our mind, like you said, deep rooted within is all the values that Islam teaches us, to be respectful to our neighbors, to be kind to people out there, to let minor things go. But it also has our action. Like I think the message that I'm trying to get out there is for us to always, and I remember having a discussion with you earlier, where you said it all depends on the intentions of the actions. Because sometimes you were saying you could be forced to do something that might be perceived
as
wrong,
negative.
negative.
Yeah.
But as long as your root action, your root intention is clear and for the sake of Allah, then go for it, right? But then again, on the negative side, like in places at work, for example, whatnot, when injustice happens against Muslims, I think there's that other side too, where people don't speak up for fear that they might be seen as this aggressive Muslim, as opposed to just a person that's fighting for their rights. How do you guys go about that in that situation?
It's tough, man, because unfortunately, and this is the standard that's been put forward for Muslims because of the media, right? Is that if a Muslim does, and they know you're a Muslim, and by they I mean the non-Muslims, if the non-Muslims know you as a Muslim, when you do something negative, it's seen as twice as bad.
Yeah.
If you do something good, it's seen as, well, you should be doing that anyway,
Yeah.
So if you stand up for yourself, then you have to tread those waters carefully, right?
Yeah.
If you want it to be seen, like if every decision you do is a PR image, for Islam, then you have to tread those waters carefully.
Yeah.
But if your root cause and your root intention is for the sake of Allah, you're standing up for injustice, you shouldn't hesitate. If you see a co-worker that's being harassed, whether he's Muslim or non-Muslim, you shouldn't hesitate to stand up for that person. And
regardless of how it's perceived.
Yeah. As long as you try and do it for the sake of Allah, then your intention should flow through to your actions. Like the way you go about it should be in the best manner. Right? Because you're the best kind of people, best nation sent towards mankind. Therefore, start in the best way. What's the issue with saying, Bismillah before you get into the altercation? And then already your intention is correct. You're not there to try and stir up a fight. You're not trying to escalate the situation. You're there to de-escalate it. Right? So whatever it is, unfortunately, like I said to you, the standard is a little bit imbalanced. Right? And that's the cards that we've been dealt at the moment. So we as Muslims, we have a PR image to try and, and fix up. But at the root cause of this intention to try and fix this PR image should be your intention for Allah. Because any actions you do in this life is short. Any actions you do do it for the sake of Allah, so you get the reward and Islam benefits as a name as well.
And the positive outcome.
Yeah.
With
right.
non-Muslims and with your Muslim brothers or sisters, if you have same thing, if you have beef or whatever, some sort of argument, try to be a better person and forgive and forget, because a lot of people might see it as a weakness, but it's actually not. It's a saying, you lost the battle, but you won the war. You know what I mean? You lost the battle between them, but in Allah's eyes, you won the war because you get rewarded for being the better person. You see where I'm coming from? Yeah.
Another point that I want to bring up is, as you said again, because of the cards that we've been dealt and the way Islam is seen, a lot of people are either afraid or ashamed to publicly show, obviously in the right situations, that they are Muslims. For example, if there's nowhere to pray, to just put down your jacket in the middle of a park or like by a tree or in the airport, for example. But I've seen cases, and I'm pretty sure it's all over like social media, cases where a Muslim traveler would not having access to a musalla would just put down their jacket and pray, and then people that don't know about the religion would come up to this person and start a conversation, and that leads to, you know, a whole conversation about Islam and enlightening this person. So I think that's also really important. Like, don't feel the need to shy away with, obviously you're gonna pray, right? But then you shouldn't feel the need to hide and pray in an alleyway or in a corner. Obviously not in public where people are walking in the middle of the footpath or whatnot. But if it is an airport, find a little corner. And even if it's visible to people, you shouldn't be ashamed or afraid of it, you know?
It's easier said than done. I have to be honest. It's easier said than done. I know, like, it takes a certain level of confidence for you to be able to do anything. Like, even not necessarily just praying, just to be able to speak in front of a crowd and stand up for your rights. That in itself takes a huge, you know, step and a level of confidence. Let alone going somewhere where there's public and you're not speaking to them, but you're just praying separately. That in itself as well, like that takes a huge level of confidence. Why? And even then, to be able to concentrate in salah and not worry about, oh, is this person looking at me? Like, are they looking at me weird? And all those thoughts, is it disrupting your salah?
Then
like,
you get fast, boom, 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 boom.
It might actually be better for you to go somewhere a little bit quiet and actually pray. Like, okay, there's a benefit of it in praying in public, and then you get that da'wah, you might be able to spark a conversation. But I think, like, if you have the options between the two, even the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, whenever he was presented with two options, he'll take the one that's the easiest for him. So if you're presented with two options, you've got a place to pray somewhere quiet, go for it, you know, and, you know, take the easy one that's for you. But I think, like, and at times what we forget is that the actions that we do and the way we try and represent Islam, we only do it to non-Muslims. We never really focus at home and focus towards our Muslims and focus internally. Like, we give da'wah to Muslims, to non-Muslims, but we also give reminders to Muslims. And the way we represent Islam to Muslims themselves. Because some brothers, they don't know anything about Islam. Some of them are reverts, the way we treat the reverts. Some of them are born into, you know, Islamic families, but have no idea about what Islam is. Some of them have never been to a masjid, even though they're Muslims, right? So the way we treat the people when they come to the masjid, the way we treat our co-workers that don't actually pray, the way we give da'wah to them and remind them, right, of what it means to be a Muslim, that in itself is also representing Islam. Because what you could do is, this person who is Muslim by name but has no idea about what Islam is, when you give a reminder to him in the harshest way, it just re-cements the idea of why he doesn't practice. Because he doesn't want to be like you. Or he doesn't want to practice because he's just going to meet people like you. He doesn't want to come to the masjid because this is what they're going to do to him. They're going to point out these things. They're going to point out these things. They're not going to give da'wah or give reminder or nasiha in the right way. And so we always, I think it's two routes, and both of them are equally important. We need to focus at home first, practice with the people that are Muslim, train on them, learn from them. How do we actually make sure that we keep the Islamic Brotherhood tight? To the point where it overflows to the non-Muslims, that it just becomes second nature, that this is how we carry ourselves. You know, you can't be harsh at home and then you go outside and that's double face. You can't do that.
Especially the effects it has. Like, even like you said, at the mosque. I know you. I don't know if you guys have experienced it, but in certain mosques or certain cultures, if you're not the best practicing person, yes, the people around and the uncles around want to give you advice and nasiha, but when you're a 15, 16-year-old kid that's already made that step to come to the mosque, whether your haircut might be fuzzy or funny, you know, your clothes may not be in a thobe or whatever, but you are there, you know. Or last week you were seen outside, you know, somewhere that wasn't inappropriate. To get interrogated at the mosque, like, it's the last thing you want. You know, you just want to come and pray. You've already made that commitment. But then if you're getting interrogated day after day, you're going to be like, what am I want to pray at home then, you know? And then what does that lead to? Like, I'm not going to pray at all, you know? So I think that's a very important thing you said, especially within our Muslim community, because that person that you're giving nasiha to in a way that you might think is coming out of love, but they might not take it properly. It could be, like you said, a revert that is just getting onto the deen and might be thinking, like, what is this that I got into? You know, like, because they're at a very fragile state. You know, they could easily just say, you know what, this is not for me anymore. You know, funny enough, I actually worked with a guy that told me he was Muslim for a couple of weeks. Got the prayer mat and everything. Was like I was starting to learn Fatiha and whatnot. But exactly that thing. He's got the couple of mates that convinced him to become Muslim. Were still doing the things that they were telling him not to do. You know, still going out, still doing these things. So he's like, I couldn't really see what they were preaching to me in them anyway. So he's like, well, how are you going to tell me not to do this and do it with me, but you were doing it with me, you know? So it's like, it's not for me, you know? And it really broke my heart to hear that. Like, mashallah, Allah gave him that hidayah to come in, but due to the lack of, I think, welcoming and, as you said, that brotherhood, that tight brotherhood, went back, you know, and that could be, there could be so many cases of that, and it couldn't be changed, as you said, from within the house, and how we pass on the message.
Yeah, like previously, you know, there's a saying where they say, back in time, they used to say, if you want to know Islam, look at the actions of the people.
Yep.
And you will know what Islam is.
Yep.
Now, if you want to know Islam, don't look at the actions of the people.
Yep.
And study the religion. If you want to know what
Exactly.
Islam is. So we've really progressed like downhill. But, and I'm not trying to paint our Muslim brothers and sisters as some, you know, people who are negative, right? No, but like the challenge has become greater now for us, right?
Yeah.
There's more Muslims now. There's that brotherhood needs to be reunified.
Yep.
And we ourselves need to know the deen enough to actually, like, even if you study the seerah, subhanallah, wallahi, some of the lessons that you learn, some of the stories that you hear about the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, wow, man, it'll shock you the way the way they actually created that whole PR image for Islam in itself. Like, they were just walking. They themselves, they were walking Muslims.
Yeah.
You can look at them and just know what Islam is, literally, just through their actions. Yeah. Now it's very tough, you know. So we ourselves, right, we need to come back and study Islam. We need to come back and practice at home. And I'm not just saying just the masajid, because sometimes you could have Muslim brothers that work with you.
Yeah.
You yourself, the way you deal with your brothers and sisters and relatives, the way you deal with your wife or your children, that in itself, like, the way you deal with your wife or your child can have effect on you as a person and you as a Muslim. Because how they go about their day-to-day life. Other people might say, oh, that's so-and-so's wife, or that's so-and-so's child. Look at how they're being treated. Right? So that has an effect. Well, I don't want to be Muslim because this is how I'll be treated.
Exactly.
You know? So at all times, and I know it's very difficult, at all times we should at least try and maintain the best of characters. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ said. I have come to try and perfect the character. Exactly. That's one of his missions, right? Not just to be a mercy to mankind, but also to perfect the character. Exactly. And part of character is what you do and how you behave and how you act.
And that's exactly what we're discussing today. Like, how your character and the way you act and your manners and how you treat other people and how that affects Muslims and non-Muslims all around the world. I think that does us for today.
Yeah.
Oh, just one thing, just to all the non-Muslims out there, if you're struggling, if you're a revert or you want to know about Islam, go to the mosque. There is the right people there, and inshallah, hopefully you'll get directed to the right way of Islam, because Islam it's a beautiful religion. It's a brotherhood, sisterhood, however you want to take it. It's a beautiful thing. Once you learn and understand, we're born Muslims, right? Yeah. We're still learning today. But subhanallah, and you know this is the truth, it's ajib, I don't know how, but the reverts always end up stronger than the ones who are born to the religion. You know?
Because they chose it.
Because they chose it, you know? But there's other reasons. Yeah. But
and
if you want to learn about Islam, go to the mosque, talk to the right people, and it's a beautiful religion, and you'll find out a lot more information. Yeah.
Inshallah. And to all our actual Muslim brothers, try and beautify your character as much as possible, because you never know who's watching. You really never, especially in this day and age of technology. There's photos, cameras everywhere. Any altercation that happens, at least 2 or 3 people pulling out a phone and recording it. Subhanallah.
Viral, yeah.
There was this one viral video that went about of two young kids who are basically trying to have a fight because the crowd was egging them on and saying so and so said this about you, and the other one saying so and so, so now you two have to fight. There was so much pressure on these two young kids who didn't actually want to fight, but they were about to fight. And one Muslim brother, he comes out in the street and he literally just says, "This is your brother. You two are brothers," and literally talks to them, gives them the beautiful nasiha in the right way. And he says, look, they're all laughing at you. Nobody's here standing fighting you. They're all laughing at you and they're all recording you for their amusement. You see?
Exactly.
And then to the point where they end up shaking hands. And then that in itself, like this person that was giving nasiha, he didn't think that these people are recording. He didn't think that it was going to grow this much. But look at how much effect it had on these two young boys, and how much it had an effect on people that actually watched this video. So many people would have commented, and I've seen some of the comments that said, wow, mashallah, this guy, true representation of Islam, of what a true person should be.
So imagine if he came out just going at them, what are you doing, la la la. They'll be like,
who the hell are
they
you?
won't take his advice. But he's put it in a way where they digest and can see and take it in. You know what I mean? And that's what our discussion was about today. I really do hope you guys enjoyed our discussion as much as we have. And inshallah, we'll catch you guys next week.